Hi, my name is Jeremy Sutton, and welcome to this introduction to the incredible and exciting world of dynamic speckle brushes that has been introduced in Corel Painter 2016. As you can see here, we are able to create textures with our brushes and types of marks that go beyond anything that's been possible before. I'm just holding my cursor still, and do you see that tail wagging around? I'm going to press my tab key, the general palette here. I'm going to move it around, and this is accessible through the window menu, brush control panels, general. There it is, right at the top. Command B on a Mac, Control B on a PC. What you'll find in this is a thing called dab type, and all the dynamic speckle brushes have one of the dynamic speckle dab types. There's actually 4 types. You'll see here that we have in the dynamic speckles category 12 default variants, and you see a few extras that I've been adding at the bottom. Basically, whenever I vary the brush controls and get a variation on these dynamic speckle variants that I like, I sort of name them and keep them as a new variant. And we're going to look in the dynamic speckle brush control panel, and this you can get by going to window, brush control panels, and you'll see dynamic speckle right at the bottom. Or what I've done here is I've clicked on this little icon here in the top right that shows the advanced brush controls, and this is contextual, so as I change variant, you'll see that the relevant active brush control panels also changes. So let's take a look. One of the main things to play with in the dynamic speckle brush control panels is the very first slider. It's called count, and as you can see here, there's little tips that pop up when you hold your cursor over this slider, and so the count adjusts the number of dynamic speckles. And so let's just fill this with black. So we start afresh, pick a nice bright color, and I'm going to start with the default. And remember, we've always got the reset tool. When you click that, you get the default settings. And then let's just take the count to maximum and see what happens here. So we get some very nice complexity, and if we make that brush bigger and spin it around, we can see it's very nice, almost smoke-like effect. And by contrast, if we take the count down, let's just change color here and also reduce the size, we start to get a very interesting linear brush. Any of these variants can be used as cloners, and we can do that just by clicking on the clone color icon that you see on the lower right corner of the color panel. And when we do this, and I'll just do a select all, delete, clear the canvas to white, and I'll make a few marks, and you'll notice this is gray. The reason being it's picking up the default clone source, which happens to be whatever the current painter pattern is set at. So you'll see the colors changing according to which pattern I pick here. So this has got the lotus petals is giving that color. So let's apply this in a project, the merry-go-round in the South Bank in London. And there it is. That's the painting so far, and the source looks like this. This is actually a woodcut of the source photo. The way I've got this set up is that I worked with various different clone sources, the original photo, saturated version, woodcut version, then I saved the painting. So I've got all these different references. You'll notice the crosshair on the left as I paint. And what's nice here is it's actually adding quite a lot of playful and whimsical texture to the painting. Let's take a look at the Particle Grainy Marker Abrasive. I love this variant. It is so fabulous. By increasing the count, and being a marker pen, it's building up to dark color. It's picking up the color from the photo but building up to dark. So one thing you can have a go at is changing the method from marker to cover. And what that does is it simply takes the color more literally and covers up what's underneath. Another great brush that I like, and that is called the Particle Soft Cover Blender. It's one of the things that I encourage you to experiment with, is when you're working with cloning, is to go back and forth and add your own color, then go back to cloning, and really try to mix it up a bit and bring in color that's not necessarily in the photograph. You can also experiment with the count, lowering the count. So this has a very interesting texture to it. Let's take it down even a bit further. Wow, look at that. Very furry. We're going to finish off with a real bristle dip and experiment a little bit here with lowering the count in the Dynamic Speckle brush control panel. And I think that this brush actually starts to get more interesting when you get a really low count and you get this sort of separation of the individual bristles with those individual bristles showing through there. I think this is just giving you a little bit of an inkling of the power of these incredible dynamic speckle variants, and we've only just touched the surface here and had a look at a few of them. Have tons of fun with these incredible dynamic speckle variants and use them in cloning, go in and out of clone color, use them to inject an incredible amount of richness and variety of mark into your paintings, and can't wait to see what you do. So all the best and cheerio.